Hello everybody and welcome to the Retrospect Lounge. So the other day I was just sitting around doing my usual thing.
Oh, how exciting. A mystery. Is Fez a suspect?
Yeah, probably not Fez.
Why not? I can be evil.
And then I had a realization, a sign if you will. I think it's a sign. It is a sign. I was finding discs to the show everywhere, and it got me thinking. I mean, there had to be a reason for all of this. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, and I was only slightly baked when I discovered all these discs. The show was trying to tell me something. It was trying to tell me to review it, damn it. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna talk all about That 70s Show, and I'm going to review some of the nostalgia and memories that I have for the series, and some of my favorite episodes of the series as well. Like I said, this is one of my favorite shows of all time, especially when it comes to sitcoms, and I still rewatch the series every single year. Even if it's just background noise for a little bit of humor here and there. I first watched the entirety of That 70s Show back in 2013 after my younger brother had seen it and told me I had to check it out. I recommended How I Met Your Mother to him first, so it was only right that he returned the favor by recommending another show. Yeah, favor. Fucking totally. Cause we all saw that finale a year later and know how I Met Your Mother turned out. A fucking mess that shat on any legacy it could have had.
And that, kids, is How I Met Your Mother.
I honestly should have owed him after that one. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a future video. But for now, let's talk about 70s Show. This show is still pretty popular among old viewers and new, thanks to both reruns and streaming services that have kept the show living on. Even today, it has a fairly decent fan base, and the show even went on to spawn 2 spin-off series, one of which takes place within the same universe, which released 5 months ago. But we'll discuss more on that later. As you saw, I own many discs of this show, and the reason for that is because I own the complete series on DVD. Now, I love that I own this show on DVD, but let's talk about something. What in the fucking shit is this god-awful packaging? Yeah, I'll be lucky if any of these discs still play after this video. But seriously, whose idea was it to have these discs just chillin' in flimsy-ass paper cases that sit inside of the main case? They might as well just rubber band that shit and be like, here you go, motherfucker. Like it's a damn garage sale find or something. Jesus. It's not like it matters that much, but this is just lazy. Pure laziness. Okay, I'll shut up and talk about the show now. Starting with the iconic and memorable theme song. This series had a great theme song that really captures the spirit of the show. Now, to this day, I still feel like the original version of the theme song from season 1 was far superior than the one used in future seasons, as it was more rock-based instead of this pop-style tune that they used later. The theme song followed the same formula of shots inside of the car for every season until changing it up for season 8. This version used a formula based more off the popular circle scenes from the show. This was a fantastic change, but it's too bad it's the only fucking good thing about the final season of the show. But again, we'll get to this later too. Now, as we know, this show was about a simpler time as it takes place in America in the 70s. Well, simpler times besides all this, of course. But besides that, this show really is one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, especially when it was on air. The show follows Eric Foreman and his group of dumbass friends, including his anti-government troublemaking best friend Hyde, Kelso the idiot, a foreign exchange student that goes by Fez, the girl next door Donna who he's in love with, and then bitchy Jackie, who was not really their friend at first, but she grows on the whole group. I mean, she ends up dating 3 of the guys in the group, so yeah, I'd say she grows on them. The show followed their everyday life and the experiences that they face as teenagers in Point Place, Wisconsin. This show was unique as even though it aired in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was set in the 70s. It deals with many topical elements that were relevant in the decade, such as Eric's Korean War veteran father Red, rock music, pot smoking, and of course, a despise for Nixon.
Thank God for the honest ones like Richard Nixon, huh?
What did you say?
Who actually happens to be my 8th cousin, which I kinda wish I didn't just admit online. As I mentioned music, I should say the use of pop, disco, and rock music was very prevalent throughout the show, and it really made each episode that used these classic tunes that we recognize stand out and feel straight out of the 70s.
I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing.
Some of my favorite parts of the show were the circle scenes where the group would obviously be high and just talk and usually say some stupid shit like this.
Like there's this guy who invented this car that runs on water, man.
As well as some absolutely hilarious shit. I also loved the fantasy sequences that would often reference pop culture at the time, including movies and TV shows, while often making fun of the source material as well, which was always fun. Especially if you were familiar with the material itself that was being referenced. The circle scenes as well as the fantasy sequences still have me cracking up to this day, which is honestly quite an achievement if you think about it, because I have seen this show so many times in the last 10 years. Now I'm going to talk about some of my favorite and most memorable episodes of the show, but first I want to briefly mention the first Christmas special and the first Halloween special, as they are probably some of my favorite episodes of the show overall, and I still watch them every year around the holidays that they take place during. I don't know exactly what it is, but they seem to capture the spirit of the seasons perfectly. Although these 2 episodes are great, the Halloween special titled Too Old to Trick or Treat, Too Young to Die is another fantastic entry to the series, as well as it mocks and celebrates a lot of Alfred Hitchcock's classic horror films. There's a lot of fun moments in this one. But now, I'm going to get into one of my favorite episodes from Season 1, The Keg. In this episode, Eric skips school for the first time in his life, much to the surprise of his best friend Hyde and his crush Donna. By some miracle for high school students that just want to be drunk for once, they find a magical and mysterious keg in the middle of the road, which in their eyes is a sign to throw a party. Inside of a pool? Well, mainly because the house is for sale and empty, which means no parental supervision. It's funny because stuff like this, while funny, really shows me how much of deviance high school kids can be and just how rebellious they try to be as well. I mean, I was 16 when I first watched the show, and now at 26, I honestly find myself more often siding with Eric's parents in the show more than any other characters, as usually, they had a point. Eric can be a shithead and his parents really are truly looking out for him. Problems arise for the teenagers when they realize that there's no beer tap on the keg after the party is already in full swing. Eric decides to be a hero and go steal his dad's beer tap while Kelso tries to get a hold of one while acting like a jackass.
No, I can prove it to you. I got my IDs out in the wall.
It happens all the time. Take care.
Yeah, but
Leave.
But Eric and Donna's parents have their suspicions about what the kids are up to and launch a full-scale investigation in search of Point Place to stop the teenagers. During this, Donna's dad, Bob, has this lovely moment.
My daddy stepped inside and he kissed my mama's face and he brushed her tears away the night she come.
Bob. Hard to love him, hard to hate him. Probably one of the best comical characters of the show. In the end, Eric is busted, as he probably should be, and the party is over, all thanks to Red. But don't worry, Eric still gets his heroic moment in the end. Well, kind of. This was a funny and captivating episode that gave you an early look at the tone of the series, as well as the characters and their unique personalities. That, along with the plot of the episode, is why it's one of my favorites. But now, let's move on to an episode from Season 2 that I also remember as being a classic that still captivates my nostalgia. Garage Sale. In this episode, to help with the tight finances due to Red working part-time, the Foremans host a little garage sale. Hyde, wanting to help out and do his part as well, makes his very own special brownies to sell at the baked goods table, even though Eric highly advises him not to. But come on, everyone wants some special brownies, even Red and Kitty. Yes, the brownies get into the wrong hands as the adults end up having some and getting high as fuck. Red ends up accidentally selling more than was intended at the garage sale since he was high, as he sells Eric's piece of shit car that somehow lasts another few seasons after this, and Red ends up having to deal with the consequences of his actions. One of the funniest parts of this episode is how Eric and Hyde have to play the role of the parents as they provide a condescending talk to Red after he sells the car. Eventually, they get the car back and all is well in the world for Eric again. Oh yeah, and Fez puts the moves on Jackie for the first time in this episode, starting a plotline that would last seasons as Fez subtly continues his creepy crush on her. Yeah, let's not sugarcoat it. Fez was honestly kind of a creepy bastard in this show, especially later on.
I was hired to clean the hot tub. But you should know that I perform other services too.
Like, Jesus, dude, lock him up and throw away the key for God's sake. Next up, I want to talk about another hilarious and memorable episode for myself. It's the first episode of Season 3, Reefer Madness. This episode continues from the cliffhanger of the Season 2 finale where Hyde is arrested for possession of marijuana even though it was Jackie's when she tries to be cool. Which could never happen honestly cause it's Jackie. And Hyde finds himself in jail. In the first episode of Season 3, Hyde returns from jail only to find Red beyond furious and ready to kick his ass to the curb. Afraid that he'll turn the other kids into dope fiends as well, Red asks Eric if Hyde has ever pressured him to do drugs in the past, which, of course, they pretty much do every single day in the series. And we get this priceless fantasy sequence from Red, which is honestly my favorite scene of the entire series for many reasons.
Sorry, dollface, but now, thanks to marijuana, I'm incurably insane.
But mostly, this face right here. This whole thing is just done so well and has me in fucking tears whenever I watch.
This is what's happening all over America. And it could happen in your home, or yours, or yours.
So Eric starts to wonder if he should confess the truth to Red in order to keep him from kicking Hyde out because he's such a good friend. But of course, this will backfire on him later. Meanwhile, the hilarious stoner character Leo, played by legend Tommy Chong, visits the Foremans to speak on Stephen Hyde's behalf.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I've indulged once or twice myself.
Really? I'm shocked.
Just priceless. Also, Donna soon uncovers what really happened as far as who the weed belonged to, and she finds out that Jackie is now obsessed with Hyde, starting the plotline where her and Hyde eventually date a couple seasons later. In the end, the truth is uncovered and admitted to Red, but Eric, in his usual dumbass fashion, tells his dad that he uses weed too, which only brings trouble over the next couple of episodes. Kitty's reaction to this always gets me.
Honey, we already decided not to kick Hyde out.
As well as Eric's follow-up.
Then... yay!
Now let's talk about Prank Day, an iconic episode from Season 4. So yeah, it's Prank Day, at least according to Kelso, who manages to trick his friends twice during these antics. Oh, that little damn scamp. The guys, of course, decide they need to retaliate, which backfires horribly as Red walks right into their prank instead. Rather than unleashing an absolute wrath on Eric, Red mocks the prank and joins the war with Eric to show the boys how it's done, unleashing his ultimate prank on the other guys, much to Kitty's dismay. This episode is always funny to me as you see a side of Red you don't expect, but his plans to get back are just priceless and carried out in such a comical way as he constantly teases them.
I wouldn't do anything to the lasagna. Just like I wouldn't do anything to your new sneakers that are sitting by the kitchen door. Kitty, I cleaned up the dead moss from the porch light. If I could only remember where I put it.
Did Red really put moths in the lasagna? Who knows, but hilarious nonetheless. Moving on. Oh, wait, yeah, and Donna and Jackie have a secondary plotline with the slumber party. Great. Like I said, moving on. Alright, another fun one to look at now, the Season 5 finale, Celebration Day. So fun that it gives Red a heart attack by the end. I'm sorry, that's not funny. It's just not. I promise it's not funny. This episode starts on a bit of a note that feels like the end of an era, as the gang will soon be split in half when graduation is over, since Eric and Donna are all set and ready to move into their apartment in Madison, while poor wee Fez is soon to be deported after committing this little incident, which will just leave this love triangle present in Point Place, which was already escalating in many ways and becoming more heated as Hyde and Kelso compete over the indecisive Jackie. But this tense situation is put aside for a moment so that the six friends can all go camping together the night before graduating high school. For some reason, Eric's sister Lori tags along, forever changing Fez's life as she marries him so that he can stay in the country. Back at the Foremans, Red gives Kitty medication to help deal with the departure of her only son heading to college, only for him to be the one who needs some damn medication, as when he discovers that his daughter married Fez, well, he dies. No, but like I said, jokes aside, he does have a heart attack, which gives us a captivating cliffhanger for the start of season 6, as the episode ends there. This line from Kelso always gets me though.
I think you're having a heart attack.
No, open your eyes. He's having an arm attack.
Michael?
The dude is just too dumb. The last memorable episode that I want to discuss before closing off the whole thing is from season 6. It's Baby Don't You Do It. If that name sounds unique or weird or different, it's because starting in season 5, the show started to name every single episode off popular 70s songs from bands like Queen, Led Zeppelin, and so on. That was kind of a fun move, except sometimes the episode titles are so vague that you honestly don't know which episodes are which. I mean shit, what the fuck could Beast of Burden or Rip This Joint be about? Could be absolutely anything. But Baby Don't You Do It from season 6 follows a recent pregnancy scare between Donna and Eric. Due to this, Bob and the Foremans insist that Eric and Donna attend counseling at the church. During the first session, Eric nerds out about Star Wars with the counselor, who, by the way I should mention, is played by Billy D. Williams, the actor that plays Lando in Empire Strikes Back. Pretty funny and clever that the show did this, I gotta give them props for that one. But anyway, other than this happening at counseling, Eric and Donna also lied to the minister about having premarital sex, claiming that they are virgins, which only backfires right in their face. Later on, they end up having to admit that they're not actually virgins, which just makes the whole thing worse. Alongside this, Kelso is also lying in this episode as he tells Brooke, the mother of his future child, that he's doing better at the police academy while getting bad grades on all of his tests. But this only becomes more difficult when there's a fire at the police academy that he also lies about. Lying ass bitches left and right, if you ask me. Now, I loved the show throughout the first 7 seasons, and I enjoyed discussing and reflecting on some of my favorite episodes from that time. But that's really where it should have ended. The final season, the 8th season, was a major disappointment due to many factors. I discussed this a bit in a previous episode of the Retrospect Lounge. Let's check it out. After season 7 of this show ended, everything really went downhill. Keep in mind that the series really should have ended after this season. Season 8, the final season, was just an absolute miserable train wreck. But Eric was gone now after he moved to Africa when really Topher Grace just wanted off the show to pursue his movie career. But then later on, Kelso left the show also after only a few episodes of the last season because Ashton Kutcher wanted off the show. It was all a mess. The worst part of everything was Randy. He was originally cast with the intention to replace Topher Grace and play Eric, but they ended up just introducing a new character that he played while Eric left. There was a different planned character, Charlie, who was introduced at the end of season 7, but after he wanted off the show too to pursue another TV show, they killed him off in the first episode of season 8.
It's not like anyone's ever died falling off the water tower.
And so they renamed it the Charlie Richardson Memorial Water Tower.
Okay, what the fuck? Killing him off, a little extreme. Anyway, back to Randy. He became the new guy in the circle, and he was infinitely annoying. He was poorly written, the actor tried way too hard, the character was shallow and bland, and he couldn't live up to Eric and Kelso's characters that we had seen and loved over the last 7 seasons. Plus the hair. Why does his hair exist? Yeah, that sums it up. Now, before closing off this review, I also wanted to mention what the fuck is up with Kitty's drinking habits in the last few seasons of the show. I mean, at first she's a social drinker, but later on, after she gets menopause, she's a straight up alcoholic. I mean, she's boozing every episode and no one really bats an eye. It's kind of funny, but damn. I mean, yeah, sure, I enjoy a few drinks on the weekends, I won't lie, but like that's an alcoholic. Enough said. But closing this off, overall I do still enjoy the show, and I find it to be a classic with perfect comedic timing and great characters that evolve and sometimes get funnier and funnier over time. The cast was great, the writing was great, and this show really struck gold and found something special that will remain timeless for years to come. The Ranch, another show that I love, was also a great reunion for most of the cast members of the original show, as a lot of them make appearances, which was really fun, and honestly, whether you like The Ranch or not, I think you can agree that it's a treat to see a lot of these cast members back on screen at times. Speaking of this, let's quickly talk about the recent spin-off to that 70s show, which was released back in February with its first season. This show is That 90s Show. So far, I've really enjoyed the show, and while the moments with the original cast of 70s show may be far and few between, the new cast really shine and help provide a show with the same tone and style of comedy that the original provided. There's great music, love triangles, circles, fantasy sequences, topical elements to the decade, and a whole lot more that feels like it's part of the 70s show universe while also taking place in the 1990s. I know that many have their complaints, and that's fair. I mean, it's not for everybody, but overall, there's a lot of potential, and I enjoy what the show has going for itself so far. I especially love the return of Red and Kitty, as they really provide some of the best moments of that 90s show so far, continuing to carry the universe. It's like they just jumped right back into these characters, which I loved. Plus, of course, these moments help complement the entire thing. It's also great to see characters interacting with each other again, and Topher Grace as Eric, damn, it's like he never lost sight of the comedic timing of the original character. I love it. Although, while I do find the show entertaining and on the right track, the show could benefit from maybe straying away from this kind of fucking cringe.
I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. Also, I'm gay.
Have a question, comment, or concern? Or maybe you just want to know more about upcoming videos? Check me out and follow me on Twitter for exclusive updates and more.